Welcome to We Know Marketing, We Promise. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Naoma, and this is a show about how to actually build a brand that works.
Okay, we are back, I think. Are we recording?
We are back.
We are back. And today, we are kicking off the new year talking about sales. Sales calls, confidence in sales, sales strategies.
Go make that money.
Go make the money, because you're in a new year. And so hopefully you have vision, you have goals, and you have a plan on how to get there. So now you just need the confidence to show up on these calls.
Yeah. So, I know that you have is it a ritual or a sales call ritual?
Yeah, I mean, my
I want to hear about that.
headspace is very, very important for sales calls. And so I have just a little mindset game that I play to get my head in the right space. I look through the deck, obviously, that I'm going to be presenting to them. So my process is I get on a discovery call with them and I ask them a bunch of questions. From that discovery call, I have a lot of answers. I have their pain points and I know what they need. And so then I can get on the proposal call with them. Right now, everyone goes through strategy first, which is kind of way more in-depth discovery. So I've been doing a lot of like one call closes, which is what I don't necessarily need to get on 2 calls with them. But if it does take 2 calls, then I'm ready to propose to them, like, here is what you get in a strategy session with CV Social. Here's how much it costs. Here's what to expect timeline-wise. And then what does that look like for the future of your social media? Because we're talking about just a one-off fee. So I get really clear on how I communicate what I do, how I do it, and who I do it for, so that in that discovery call, we know if they're a good fit or not. And I can pretty much pick up on it pretty quickly, but I didn't have that in the beginning stages of like starting to do sales calls. So my ritual is to go back and like look at everything. I also like to go and look at a case study or go look at client analytics and kind of like refresh my memory on the fact that we know what we're doing and we are bringing great results for businesses here in Oklahoma City, so that kind of like boosts my confidence. And then sometimes, like if I'm really struggling, I will also talk to someone on my team and kind of ask like, what's a win that you've seen this week, and connect with them to kind of just hear some encouragement and get some affirmation in what we're doing. And then after that, it's funny because I have this like, I'm like so embarrassed to even say this right now, but it's a thought that goes through my head. So when I was going through like sales training a couple of years ago, one of the things they were talking about was like, you are the lion in the tree and there's your prey on the ground and you want to jump out of the tree and attack the prey on the ground because you know what you're doing and blah, blah, blah. And it was like just this so stupid, so stupid. But it goes through my head of like, I'm going to go get it. And I get pumped up.
That like lines up so well with what I know about you. I'm like, she is the lion in the tree. And I'm more of like, hey, Prey, do you want some cookies?
And I'm like, you will eat this.
2 very different approaches.
Very different. Yeah, so that's definitely, and I get so passionate about what I do that I have to slow the freak down because I move way quick on these calls and I don't actually find out the information that I need to find out. And a lot of times like passion can actually decrease expertise to someone because it feels like you're grasping or you're trying like to operate out of scarcity, when really mine seriously is I love what I do and I love the clients I get to work with and the results that we see are incredible. And so for me to show up and be very like timid and meek is not my personality. No. And it's also not how I feel. And so I'm very much like, you're going to get what you get with me. Like if I'm not okay, like you'll know I'm not okay. And if I'm like really on and feeling good, then you're going to know. And that's like on sales calls, that's in personal relationships. Like I very much show my emotions. And people can pick up pretty quickly, like if I'm not okay. People say they can read me like a book, which is great when you're selling to someone and you are showing up very confidently and passionately because you are speaking with a level of conviction a lot of people can't speak with. Yep. And it actually leads to a lot of trust with the client. And honestly, very high expectations. Like when the deal closes, it's like they also have very high expectations of me because of how I've portrayed myself on these sales calls.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that's more of my like pre-sales ritual, but because it has become so organic and natural though, I would say this year that previously I would feel like I was being really annoying with the amount of questions I would ask people. But then now when I'm actually, sometimes I can't pull myself out of like, okay, you're still a human. Like ask these questions, but also like tell them some stuff that you've done for other clients and like add in those, pieces of relational information, because sometimes I can get so stuck on like, okay, well, what's the business problem? And like, I'm also very direct.
You are.
And so I can lose that warmth that you would need in a sales call too, because I can be so curious with their business and care so much about helping them with their social media that I lose that like relational piece, I think. But that's been something that's changed a lot this year. Like it's become a very natural conversation. But I've also moved out of operating where like I need to close this deal. I need to close this deal. It's like, no, everything I'm meant to have will come to me and it will close if it's meant to close. And I fully trust that more now than I have.
I've been more in that headspace, I think, probably in the last 2 years of like, if this was not meant to be, there's a reason for it.
Yes.
I've started approaching sales calls more of, this is going to sound like a prima donna, but I'm like, are you a great client for us? Like everybody wants branding and they want to look cool, but are you going to be at the level that we operate at? And if you're not, then there's other agencies that will take your money. So I've kind of come in more, not saying that I'm not trying to come in and say I'm better than you or anything like that, but more of just like, I want to understand why we're doing this, what's the intention behind it, and if it's not very intentional or thought through, or I just know it's not going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
So I'm doing, as much as I'm assessing their business, I'm also assessing them as a client. Like, will they be a good client for Nuevo Studio? Do they support what Nuevo is trying to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's such a key piece, because if you're going to be boutique, you're only going to take a certain amount of clients. And I haven't ever really had that mindset. And I'm still very much like stripping my mind of that, because until this year, like I wanted to have 90 clients on retainer in 10 years. And I wanted to have all these pods and I wanted to have all this team. And then my vision, it's like, okay, well, why?
Yeah.
When my business coach started asking those questions, it was like, oh, and then we really got to the main thing is like, no, I actually really want to be boutique and I want it to be very strategic and I want it to be very high level and I want to give this elevated experience to our clients, and therefore we're going to have an account manager maybe work on 1 or 2 accounts, not 18.
Yeah.
So like now we're transitioning that over the next 10 years to have less clients that are getting a more elevated experience that we're doing more for too, because what we realized is like we really start to understand the client's brand. And so we can actually do more for them and more effectively. But that means we need to say no to some people that don't align with that.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me because, and I think it's hard for you guys too. And I mean, when you start a business, there are many years you're operating in scarcity because you're just having to say yes.
Yeah.
So you can get the experience, so you have your bills paid. But we're not in that space anymore, and that's hard for me. Like, I still have moments probably every single day that I think about, what if I lose everything and I don't have money to pay for my daughter to like live? And what if we're on the streets? Like, that's where I go, like, worst fear is that I'm going to be homeless. And and it's scary.
It is scary.
But that can't be how I get on sales calls. So if I'm in that headspace, I have to get in a better spot, journal those thoughts out, like write down, this is a lie and here's the truth. Like, even if I lost everything, I have amazing family, I have amazing community, I would not be on the streets.
You would not be on the streets.
I would be at your house, on your couch, maybe.
New couch incoming. Yes.
New couch. But like, I mean, I have so many people. So like, even the worst case scenario, I can say like, that's a lie. And then I can go into the sales call a little bit differently. Yeah. But I do think
I will say that was a transition for me, and I did that transition I think about 4 years ago. So
yeah, I'm in the midst of that right now.
It is very hard to say, this is not, this is not a good fit. I need to get out. And it really, yeah, 4 years ago, that's when I fired my first big client 4 years ago, because I was like, this is going to ruin my reputation. And my reputation is more important than this $10,000.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's where I started to stand firm in, is saying, this is the reputation. This is what it's like working with Nuevo. This is what Nuevo does. You in, you out. That's how I approach sales. That's where we're very different.
Yeah, because I think that if they really understood branding the way that you do, I think that they would want to work with you and they could become that person.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of potential in people, and that can be to my detriment, but that can also be good. And I get where you're coming from with that, but I think that a lot of people miss out on your gifts and talents because
I don't do a great job of
communicating
it clearly in the beginning.
Well, and you're not doing a ton of like education on social. You're doing it in your newsletter.
Yeah.
And I would say to some extent you're doing it on LinkedIn.
You're the second person to tell me that this in the last 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, message received. Got it. Sell more. Got it.
Not sell more, but like educate the back end so that when you're on the sales call, they have an understanding of like how you are different.
Yeah. I will say the times that the sales calls go the best are definitely when I ask a lot of questions.
Yes.
When I connect with the person as like another human, but then I can also say, oh, I understand the brand pretty quickly, and I start saying, ooh, this could be cool. We could do this. Or what about, like, especially with the brand HQ clients. And that's where I probably need most help, in my opinion. But when I can understand their brand relatively quickly, I can dream up of some pretty cool ways to expand their brand from the typical swag, from the typical whatever. And when I get into that headspace, that's where your passion comes in for social, mine comes in, and how can we make the brand way cooler than just slapping a logo on a t-shirt? How can we really make it breathable from the inside culture out? And I get very excited about that. And then when people are like, oh, I don't know, we don't really want to do this, I'm like, oh, you have no vision.
Yeah.
I don't say that, but I definitely think that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then my challenge usually in those moments is to like educate them on it. Like, here's why, and here's what we've seen for other clients. And I understand if that's not a good fit for you and that's not what you're looking for. But I want you to understand like the full scope of work and, you know, what we do and how we do it. Because I do actually think it would be a good fit for you. And I will almost like push back on that versus them being like, it's like, you have no vision, you don't get it, bye. It's like, yeah, let's challenge that a little bit. And
yeah, I don't try to lead with that, but I will say, I think one of the hardest things for me in the beginning with sales calls was I didn't really understand the value of what I did, right? There's no ROI that I can say, we did this brand and here's the ROI of it. Like, here is the hard numbers. There are no hard numbers with it. It is I consider as compound interest. You're putting in a little bit, and over time, if you continue to be consistent and we're staying aligned, your brand will be worth a lot more than maybe your book of business.
But you're getting to see that happen with your HQ clients.
Yes, but it's usually not.
Or is it just such a small portion?
It's just it's not like what you do, right? With the social, it's like, we had this many impressions, this could lead to this many leads, this could lead to this close rate. Like, there's so many numbers that you can have with visual identity design and brand thinking like that. There's no, hey, we made this book, isn't it cool?
No, but I mean, I would strongly push back on that.
But
and I mean, you've heard me on sales calls push back on people saying like, well, what's the ROI on the brand? And it's like, what do you mean, what's the ROI on the brand? You have nothing if you don't have the brand. Do you even have a business if you don't have the brand? Like,
yes, but what I'm saying, there's no number to it. I
but I
can't say
think there
that's
would be. I think if you asked your HQ clients, like, do you have any data that you could pull from the time you started working with me for 12 months? Like, what have you seen internally change with the brand? What have you seen change with your clients? Like, have you increased sales any? What other contributing factors do you have to that? Like, I think you could be really curious with your HQ
I'm
clients
probably not being curious enough.
to find out some of those numbers.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's BS. Like, there are absolutely numbers for that ROI.
Okay. Now I'm going to go and ask all my clients, be a little bit more curious with my clients. Yeah.
But that makes sense why you would be undervaluing yourself too.
Yeah.
And that's only going to like increase your positioning and your confidence on sales calls.
Yeah.
If you get some of those numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder what my retention rate I wonder how my like client retention rate will change when I implement the like box that you did for me. Like, I can't imagine if you were in my business upholding my brand on a daily basis with my team, my clients, and like me.
Yeah.
You know?
Y'all would get sick of me.
But like, how much would the business grow? A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that. I think it's I think that's where I struggle a little bit with having the yes, I'm a designer and I'm a strategic thinker at heart, but I still have an artist side of me and a creative side that I'm like, this is fun for me. I love to just dream. And I kind of forget to say, okay, how much money did that dream make you? Yeah, I kind of forget to ask those questions because I'm going on, like I was telling you, who was I, or was I telling you, or was I telling Clint? But by the time I finish a brand, it's probably been about a year, and I'm so tired of looking at it and thinking about it and seeing it that I never post it. So, and I think that that's what happens, especially with Brand HQ clients. Like, we're so in it, we're doing it daily. I love what we do and I love our clients, but I'm like, oh, nobody cares about us making this coffee table book or us making this brochure or whatever.
Not true. But it's the same why that you're asking in those meetings with them. You're like, well, why are we doing this? Why do you think you need this t-shirt? Or why do you think you need that poster? But then it like gets left. Because it's like you figure out the why and it's like, actually, you don't need a poster. You need this instead. And you're really good at that.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, they did do that. And then what were the results I saw from it?
Yeah.
Versus the t-shirt. And that's where like, I think you provide so much value to your clients. And that's why I was saying the HQ piece. But I think when you do a brand for 12 months, you know that brand better than they know that brand. And you're coming in with something new that could be, similar to what they had been operating in, but you're bringing in a new brand. And like, I've always talked about how hard it is to change and align and be the new brand and to fully immerse yourself and your culture and your team and your employees, like operating from this new brand. And the benefit to the business is like astronomical if they actually implement that brand. But it's like you seal it up and you send it to them and then you never really see it again. You'll connect with them and have coffee or, grab a drink or whatever. But it's like, what would that look like to hear and like also push back and say, you need quarterly check-ins with me to make sure that you're staying on this brand that we just created.
Okay, that's so funny because I literally just presented a visual identity 2 weeks ago before we went to New York, and they're like, oh, we could use that for this. And I'm like, if you choose that option, you can use that. And I made a joke and I was like, maybe I'm going to have to come in and be brand police at your new place.
That's what you need to do.
And I think they thought I was joking. I'm not joking. I will totally be coming in and saying, you are not using the right colors. You are not using the right illustration style. You're not. Because all of that, those little tiny decisions are part of that compound interest.
They are.
Yeah.
I know.
Anyway, we got sidetracked. Sales calls.
We did. We got sidetracked because I think you should have that in your offer. But
yeah,
we can talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later. That is another therapy session, business therapy session. Brand therapy
need
session.
another trip and a 5-course meal for that one.
Yeah, that was funny.
It was. Confidence, sales calls. Yeah, I think I covered all of those things. Yeah, I think the main thing is I call them sales scrimmages, like scrimmaging with friends and getting on a Zoom call and like running through your discovery call framework, running through your proposal. I'm in a, business accelerator right now where I'm having to get up and pitch my business once a month in front of a room full of people that I don't know. And I suddenly am realizing how much I really don't care about what people think of me because I showed up with that black and white deck, Times New Roman, and I pitched my business to this group of people last week, and I was like, Naoma would be so flabbergasted.
I am so horrified right now.
And this guy was like, his feedback to me was, with what you do, your deck cannot look like that.
With how much money we spent on branding, Kelsey, you cannot
didn't have time. That was the only thing. It was time. And I was like, I need to get the main things on here so that I can move through it and communicate it. But I knew that it was not. And there wasn't a whole lot at stake, just people's opinions of me in the room. But I also.
That's part of your reputation. That's your brand.
Right. Matters.
It does. They could hire you in 3 years.
But right now they shouldn't. They shouldn't hire me right now because I don't have the capacity to take them on. And that's why my deck looked the way it did.
Oh my gosh. I went through an accelerator and I did my presentation, and mine was the quickest presentation, but it was the best design because I was the only designer in the room.
Of course it was.
And all of the people were like, wow, I want to hire you to do all of my decks. And I was like, yeah, this is what it looks like. I'm a 2-man band right now. And I look way better than all of y'all with millions of dollars.
It's crazy.
That's the power of design. But anyway, I digress.
It's true.
Oh my God, battles. I cannot believe send me that deck. I need to see it.
It's so bad. Well, okay, in my defense, they make you do, like, the first time you present, you have to present a very basic deck, black and white. And then the third one, you get to design it and add photos and everything because they want you to keep practicing your pitch. The first time you can't have a deck at all. The second time it's a very plain deck. And then you actually get to like add visuals. And I missed the second time because I was in Boston.
Somewhere.
And so I showed up as my second time with this black and white deck and everyone else had photos in theirs, but I didn't read everything. I mean, it's my fault. Like,
do you have another presentation?
Yeah, I think next month. I think it's once a month.
Okay, then I'll please, God bless. I will say, okay, so back to the sales call. Sorry, now we're Happy New Year. But back to the sales calls. I do think understanding you can be two different types. Kelsey is very direct. I'm very much more curious, and this is who we are. This is what we do. You in, you out kind of thing.
Yeah.
But though I sound like that, I'm actually very, very warm. I joke around a lot. I kind of break the tension, but I ask a lot of questions.
And sometimes she says really weird stuff on sales calls. I've been on a few with her. And when she gets uncomfortable, you don't know what's going to come out of her mouth.
I don't even know what's going to come out of my mouth.
But most of the time, she's great.
Most of the time, I'm unforgettable. It's fine.
That is true. One way or the other. Unforgettable.
It's on brand.
Sorry, I'm really, really pulling us off track on this episode.
I know.
It's all me.
Funny, but I will say I ask a lot of questions, and then when I come back on the proposal call, I cover those questions. I say, hey, this is the problem that I heard you say.
Is that still the problem? Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I say, if this
ask them. Yeah.
Yes, if this is correct, then this is what I'm presenting. This is how we can solve this problem for you. But I always come at it from what is the problem that we're trying to solve, and having a new logo, new visual identity is not the problem. The problem is that you're leveling up. The problem is that we're opening a new thing. The problem is that we need this problem solved. Like, for example, one of the last ones was a more cultural line. They were like, hey, we are opening this new restaurant, and it is there could be some potential for cultural confusion. And we want to make sure to tackle that head on. And I'm like, okay, this is a problem. This is how I suggest we solve it before anybody can make up the story for you. We tell the story.
Yes.
And that's actually what we're kind of wrapping up right now. But I really lead with that. And then in the proposal, this is key, is I outline the deliverables. I say, hey, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, this is what we do. And these are your final deliverables at the end, like this bullet point. And then this is the fee. Very clear, outlined. And then I also have another part in my deck that says, this is how we start. We send you the contracts, you pay money, we get your strategy session on the books. So all the questions that they can ruminate on are answered within the deck after I go through it with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And something she says often is like, you make it easy to say yes.
Yes.
And that's what you really want to focus on with a sales call, is you want to make it as easy as possible for them to say yes. And then also know they're not going to remember everything in that deck, and they're not going to remember everything you talk about on the proposal call. But if you are onboarding them correctly, they will understand everything that's in that deck by the end of their onboarding and by the start of their services. They're going to know what's in the onboarding phase, what's in phase 1, and they're going to know the timeline for that. Because if you're onboarding them correctly, they will have an understanding of that, but they are not going to know everything that you say and remember it word for word from a proposal call. And that is where I've seen so many businesses tank, is that they feel like they've been too redundant sharing the deliverables and the process with the client in the beginning phases. But like, just because you're hearing it every day does not mean they are, and they need to hear it 10 to 15 times before it's going to actually set in. And then they need to actually experience it.
But then you also have to think, like, some of these people are on not just a sales call with you. They may be talking to 2 or 3 other people.
They probably are, yeah.
And so, what Naoma says versus what another agency says versus what another agency says, like, that's going to be all very different. And that is why I harp on process in my sales calls, because I'm like, we do things very differently compared to other agencies, and this is why. And I explain how the brand is built. I probably need to do a better job of that in the sales call, but we're getting there.
In the discovery call, or when you're proposing?
No, in the discovery call. I need to explain. If people don't explain this to you, this is not how they're building a brand then. They're building you a logo. And that's fine. That may be what you need.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the questions I always ask on sales calls is like, are you interviewing any other agencies? And then like, what are those agencies like currently offering you, just so that I can be curious with them too. Because if they can't differentiate, I might be able to help them differentiate. And I always say, if this is not a good fit, then I have other people I can connect you with, and it might not be a good fit. But I want to this is why I have to ask these questions, because I want to give you the best possible service, and I want your business to be successful. And if I think that that's Stevie, then I'm going to say that. But if I think that's someone else, I'm also going to say that.
Yeah.
So there's no commitment on the table, I guess. But what I've noticed is when I've gotten curious about the other agencies, they are very open, because they're also looking to process with someone who's safe and they don't have any signature with.
Yeah.
They're not in contract with. And I've been able to help them kind of think through well, you could go this route, and especially with budget, because they're like, I only have this amount of money, and I think you're probably out of my price range, but do you have any, can you help me problem solve? And I get to actually help them kind of work through, okay, well, what does it look like to do a strategy and then hire someone internally and have me come in and train them and do consulting with them? That price point looks different than us taking over everything. And then that also just builds relational trust, because it's just very organic. We just are wanting good business for both of us. And I am not trying to, what did they say? Put a round peg in a square hole.
Yeah.
And what's meant to come to me will. Those things.
I've talked myself out of business probably more than I've talked myself into business, because I know that I'm not a good fit for them.
Yeah.
And I tell them that. I'm like, this is not worth your money right now. You probably need to go, especially people that are younger in their business.
Yeah.
I'm like, go make some money and call me in 3 years. This is what I would do if I were you. Boom, 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 boom. Go.
Yeah.
And if you still feel like you need the logo to feel legit, I'm going to highly encourage you to not do that. But I have some freelancers that will probably work more in your budget, and happy to share that.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that I really learned from Emily Cohen in her last talk in Phoenix is, in the agency world, it's very normal to do pro bono work if you're trying to be nice and be a good citizen and build community. And they say, oh, well, we give away this free brand, or we give away this free website, or we do this free audit, whatever. The thing is like, when you do that, and it's not that you're devaluing yourself, but you're devaluing your industry by saying we can do this for free. So the person that could actually charge money and make money and get another rep in, you're taking that opportunity away from them. And so I have stopped doing anything like that. And I say, hey, I can't do that, but here are some other freelancers that are more in your price range, or here are some other people that can probably really help you with that. That is not my zone. Because I don't want to be the person that is cutting off a rep for a younger person in my industry.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I think a lot of it is practice. I mean, it really is. Like, they need the reps. We needed the reps. I still need the reps.
I still need, you still, like, every level you're putting in your own reps. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would just let people sit with that. But sales calls, make it easy to work with you, make it easy to understand.
Have a framework you follow for your discovery calls.
Yeah.
Be intentional with your discovery calls. Like, know what questions you're going to ask them. Don't just feel it out when you get on there and ask general questions. Like, have very intentional questions that you're asking them, and then reiterate those things throughout your presentation when you are proposing services. Like, one of my most important things is to, like, this is how we fixed that exact same issue for this client, like on a discovery call. So it's like, what is the biggest thing that's like keeping you up right now about your social media? Well, it's the fact that it's not getting done. And when it's done, it's not consistent. It takes a ton of my time, and it doesn't even look good. Those are like the 4 things I hear all the time. And those things really bother them because that business owner cares about their brand. They care about their business. And so that one is like, that's a key alignment for me, is like, the business owner has to really care about their brand to want to work with us, because everything we're going to be doing is very intentional with the brand. And I can then reiterate, well, here is, this person came to me with the same thing. He was wasting 20 hours a week on social media, and this is the product that it looked like. I can actually show them the like video.
Before,
yeah. And then I can say, and here's what we did. He spent 3 hours with us, and this was in his onboarding month. And this is what we came up with from, you know, everything we had done for them. And that also gives them like that visual journey of what it's like to work with you. It shows how you're solving their pain point, but it also encourages trust and expertise.
It does.
As you're talking to them, because they need to hear that. Like, they don't want to just be peppered with a ton of questions and not hear how you've helped other people. And also, they're scared and they're in a lot of pain a lot of times. And so if you can say, hey, I know that this is a really hard place to be in, but I want you to know, like, we've done this for 4 businesses this year, and all 4 of those business owners are in a much better place right now. Like, and it makes it sound like they're dead, but they're not dead. But like, they got their time back. Like, giving those very tangible things. If it's true, don't lie.
Don't lie, please.
But like, I can say that because I have worked through, and it's like, to watch their face like ease, because it's like, oh, okay, that feels really good. Like, she's helped 4 other people get to a better place than where I'm currently at. Maybe there is hope. So I would say, like, that's very important. Ask good questions, but also share what you do and share your expertise, but don't make it about you. Like,
yeah, I say always position yourself as the guide. The client is the hero.
Yes.
You are just the guide on the journey to help them get to their treasure map.
But if you do not own that call from the very beginning, you lose expertise immediately, and they lose confidence in you.
That's
like,
where
you have to be the one leading that call.
Yeah, that's where you become a vendor and not a partner.
Yes.
And that's a huge disconnect when you are charging a premium price.
Yes. And they're expecting you to be the expert if they are paying a premium price. And so when you get on a sales call and you can't hold the room, you can't hold the call and guide the call, because the thing is, when you start asking people about their problems, they can talk and talk and talk. And one of my favorite things is like saying your name like 3 times to interrupt you and have you go back to a certain point. So it's like, Naoma, Naoma, Naoma. hold on. You said something really interesting there. Can I take you back? I have a question about what you said here. And that will stop them from their like
spiral.
They'll just keep going.
Yeah.
And then you can actually like get to the deeper things because they're also going to maybe try to use you as a therapist because they're in a lot of pain.
Yeah. That's normal in my area.
Yeah. And so to like be able to direct them and then they feel that and that feels really safe with them. And that's already putting you higher notches on them potentially hiring you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then follow up. The magic of a follow up.
Yeah. That would be the final thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We follow up 3 times. And if I hear nothing, then I send the magic email on the 3rd one, which is the closing the loop.
Yeah.
And you should look that up. We'll put it in the
Seems like you've already found someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. This project is not a priority to you. Please let us know when you're ready to get back up. Usually people answer really well after that 3rd one. Either they say we're moving forward with something else or we're I will also say this one is a little bit harder, but when you don't get the sale, ask why.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ask for the feedback very candidly and say, hey, and don't be rude. Don't be mean. Oh, I can't believe you didn't go with me. But say, hey, thank you so much for letting me know. I wish you nothing but success with blah, blah, blah. Is there any chance that you would be open to giving me candid feedback as to why we did not gain your trust? And usually, not always, but most of the time, people will tell you like, it was priced too high. It was priced too low. You didn't come off like this. We were looking for something more like this. And take that with a grain of salt, but also say, oh, okay, that wasn't really clear in my proposal, or that was not very clear in the way I said that. That just helps you get better for the next one.
Absolutely. And that goes to asking your friends around you too. Like I'm even thinking about the confidence piece and how many times we talked about this in a different episode, like I borrow confidence from you. If there's something I'm not doing well, tell me because then I can do it better and fix it or learn and grow and then gain the confidence to then be executing it even better. So it's like go get on sales calls with friends and do scrimmages where you're practicing and you're framing the call and it's clunky and it's weird and it sucks in the beginning, but then like you start to understand how you're talking and then you're getting feedback from someone who cares about you deeply and wants your business to be successful. Like there's no risk there, but it is very vulnerable. So I would very much encourage you to like leverage the community around you to get those reps in because you learn so much about yourself in those. I think that's probably why I love them.
Yeah.
All right. This was supposed to be a shorter episode and it's actually longer. So
thanks
for joining us.
Happy New Year. Bye.
And that's a wrap on this episode.
If you found this helpful, hit subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend.